it's Julia from abbasheart.net. If you've hit a wall in trying to hear God's voice or just discerning what He has to say for you in this season, perhaps fasting can be the ticket for you. Without a spiritual purpose, fasting is just going hungry. That's a quote from David Mathis. We hear of a lot of people now are doing fasting for their health. There are benefits to fasting, and the Bible has talked about it, and in Jewish traditions, they incorporate fast. In Muslim traditions, they incorporate fast. So this practice has been known for a long time that there's a lot of benefits to it. And right now, in the secular world, we're hearing of all the health benefits, and that's wonderful. But what are the spiritual benefits to going on a fast? Why would someone bother not eating for a period of time? What would they get out of it spiritually? Fasting is a tool where we use our physical body as a means to honor God. It's really about honor. And of course, in honoring and reaching out and saying, I honor you, God, I want to put you first. When we put God first, in the Bible, it says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. And usually during a fast, people are kind of pressing in to get more intimate with the Lord, to hear from Him better. Fasting also develops our spiritual strength, just like going to the gym and hitting the weights and kind of making those muscles work really hard and then giving them rest so that they can rebuild. Fasting is a way to build our spiritual stamina. A lot of times in this world, especially if you think about it, if you're hungry, you can just get food delivered. You don't even have to really lift a finger anymore these days. And to put your body through undue stress, unnecessary stress, that is a gift of sacrifice to the Lord. And it also will help you develop spiritual endurance. So part of the walk of being a Christian is to know that you're not going to always be going through amazing times. You are going to be hitting some walls, you're going to be hitting some challenges, and the discipline of fasting kind of prepares your body for that kind of stress and also your mental state to handle things that are not easy. Fasting also creates an ability to resist temptation. In the discipline of reeling in the lust of our flesh, which we will get hungry several times throughout the day. So it is a constant disciplining our flesh, not to do what we want to do or what comes natural, but to lift God up in that circumstance. We are building our ability to resist temptation as well. So let's say we could say we're hungry for those cookies and we see them on the counter, and normally we might just grab one. But because we're fasting, we are thinking about it, we're disciplining ourselves, and we're saying, no, God, I need your strength to say no to this cookie. Let's say you're in a circumstance where you're tempted sexually. You've already developed the stamina to reel down the lust of your flesh when it comes to taking that cookie. And now we're talking about another kind of cookie, but you can borrow the strength that you used to say no to your flesh in a different kind of way and say, God, I said no to the cookie. I'm going to say no to this cookie. And that is something that is very rewarding. And it's something that gets developed over time. Most people don't wake up really strong in those areas. So if you're feeling weak in certain areas, just know that fasting is a discipline that will strengthen you in many ways. Because fasting, even though it feels like work, it's actually a season of rest. You're resting your digestive system. You're actually opening up space in your day to not think about a meal, to not prepare a meal, to not talk about meals. You're actually going to have more time and more focus that you can put towards God and the things of God. So it is a time where you're building your spiritual strength, but you're also restoring your spiritual strength. One of my favorite parts about fasting, and you'll notice this the longer that you do it, it really helps you to hone in on your intimacy with God. It just, again, drops you down into your true humanity and how we are so dependent on the Lord for even the most basic of things. And when you're fasting, it's a very immediate reminder that we really truly need God to get through it. And it does open up another level of hearing from him. And the great thing about fasting, at least in my experience, as each fast that I go on, I hear from the Lord on a greater level. And even when I stop fasting, it's like the level of me hearing from God is higher. So I want you to just take that into consideration. Sometimes it's really hard to fast. We don't want to fast. We just really don't want to. But every single time I have disciplined my heart and my mind and my body to fast for the Lord, he has taken my level of hearing his voice from this level to this level. And it never went back down here. It really never went back. It has only gone up. So as I invest in the Lord, each level, he's investing back in me, and what the Lord gives you, he does not take back. So I know deep down in my heart that fasting, although it's hard, there is such a reward for it. And for those of you who are really wanting to hear the voice of God and you're kind of doing some of these exercises, if you're hitting that block, this could be the thing to really catapult you to the next level. It shows God how serious you are about hearing his voice, and it makes it real for you and for him. What I love about fasting is it reveals God's mind and his heart for us. So we're doing this, we're disciplining ourselves, but there's a reward that he gives us, that he begins to show us his mind, his heart. I remember one time when I was fasting, I was really desiring to hear the voice of God. I was a brand new baby believer. I had just gone through a massive deliverance, and I was searching for God's voice, wanting to get counsel for him. I could not afford emotional counseling. I needed so much healing, and I was depending on him to do all of this for me. And he was meeting me where I was at. And because I was struggling with such feelings of rejection and offense from being so rejected, the Lord, I had asked him to give me a baptism of love. I needed to forgive a lot of people for hurting me, and I just couldn't do it in my own strength. So I was asking him, please baptize me in your love. And so I prayed this prayer. I said, and while I was fasting, baptize me in your love. And it was incredible how the Lord actually delivered me from a lot in that season. But not only that, he actually did give me a baptism of love. And I remember waking up one morning and everything looked a little bit brighter and different. And the amazing part was, as I was seeing people like passing through the streets, just walking by people at the grocery store, I would see them through God's eyes, and I would have this incredible love for this stranger, and I didn't understand it. And then the next person would pass by, and I would see them through God's eyes, and I would just have incredible love and compassion for them. And then the crazy part was, a dog would come by, and I would feel that dog's heart. I would just feel what a kind, sweet, spirited dog this is. And I would have so much love and compassion for this animal. And I understood that God loves animals just as much as we do. And I felt God's love fill my body and flow through my eyes. I could see people with the eyes of love. I was able to give them love on a level that I wasn't able to do before. And I'll never forget that. Of course, over time, things kind of like dwindled down a little bit, but I had that experience, and I believe the Lord always wants to anchor us when he gives us an amazing experience. It's not a wham, bam, one time, thank you, ma'am. It is, I'm doing this for you, and I want you to use this as a template that I can do this and even more in the future. So let that stoke the fire of hunger for you. That God, if he did it for you once, he wants to do it for you again and again and again. And what does he say in his word? Ask and keep on asking. Do not give up asking. He wants to see that you're persistent. He's not going to push himself on you. How serious are you to receive the things that you are asking for? And that means you need to keep on asking. Fasting also brings favor. The Lord showed me one time, I have this mentor named Amy, and she's just incredible. And she actually spends a lot of her day in prayer. She's my prayer role model. When you sacrifice and you fast and you pray on the behalf of somebody else, the Lord doesn't just bless the person that you're praying for. He actually blesses the vessel that is praying for that person. So during a season of fast, I really just want to challenge you to not just pray for yourself and your needs, So a lot of times we don't have finances to buy people things or even time to spend all the time in the world that we want to with our friends. Sometimes what we can do is sacrifice for our friends. And the sacrifice would be prayer and fasting for somebody else. And there's a benefit to you because God always, always blesses the vessel that chooses to be a blessing. So I'm just going to give you a really quick rundown of how people fasted in the Bible. Why did they fast? People fasted in the Bible immediately before a victory. They did it on behalf of their victory. Esther did it when she was going into the king. There's plenty of examples in the Bible where people were fasting before a victory. So if you're really searching for a victory in a certain area, that's when I would recommend to be fasting for, if you're not seeing any breakthrough. People were fasting also during times of intense spiritual warfare. So there'll be seasons in your life when you're just hitting the wall and you can't figure out what's going on. That's the time to slow things down and to ask God, is this a season where I should be fasting? We are not just living in a physical world. We are dealing with spiritual entities. We're dealing with the spiritual realm. We are spiritual beings ourselves. And so we need to care for our spiritual beings just as we would do our physical selves. Just like we're taking a shower every day and doing the things that we need to do in the physical realm, we also need to take account of what is happening in the spiritual realm. And if there's anything we need to do spiritually to move us into a more positive direction. And fasting can help. People fasted in the Bible when they needed God's guidance. So if you are going through a season where you have to make a really serious decision and you are confused, there's a lot of options. There's a lot of good options, or there's a lot of bad options, or you have a trigger of fear from your past and it's just blocking your ability to make a decision. This is the time when you should be disciplining yourself to fast through it. Hey God, I don't know what to do. I'm going to meet with you every day until I get a download from you what to do. And this is really amazing to do. A lot of people, when they're going through a hard time, the last thing in the world they want to do is not eat, because how we make ourselves feel better, a lot of us will sit in front of the TV, watch a bunch of garbage, eat a bunch of garbage, just to feel good in the moment. That is feeding our flesh. Well, what God actually wants you to do is during times of intense spiritual decision making or spiritual warfare, to dial down on all the fleshy stuff and let's just go for the spirit. Let's just fight in the spirit. What is it that I need to do? What is it that I need to cut out that is just not moving me forward? What do I need to focus on? I need to focus on you. I need to wake up a little bit earlier to hear your voice, and I'm going to fast breakfast while I seek your voice, that kind of thing. I want you to think about fasting is not really what we give up, but we are anticipating what we want more of. And we're just doing this physical act as a way of anticipation. So I'm going to give you some creative ways to fast. I'm sure you're wondering, great, now fasting, I just have to give up food for how long, in what way? There are many ways to fast. So if you have blood sugar issues or health issues, you are not given a free pass. You can still fast. You can still enjoy the spiritual discipline and all the benefits that come from it. You just need to ask the Holy Spirit who lives inside of you what kind of fast you should be doing. So I'm not here to tell you this is the way to fast and this is the only way to fast. There are several different ways to fast, and I'm just going to give you a few of those. Number one, you can fast from certain foods. If you really enjoy chocolate, or you really like to have whatever it is that you really like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. It's something that you enjoy. Fasting from something you enjoy is a sacrifice, and that's what we're tapping into here. It's causing pain in the flesh, it's causing discomfort. We're going to have to choose something else, not what our flesh actually wants. And I know this sounds really funny, but anyone who knows me personally knows I really love red peppers. I don't know why. Red, yellow, orange bell peppers. And one time during this season when I was just eating them a lot, the Lord said, hey, how about fasting from those? And I said, God, come on. I understand chocolate. I understand this and that, but red pepper, those are good for me. And he said, they might be good for you. He goes, but you like them a little too much. So can you go without them for me? Okay. And so I did. You can fast certain meals. So right now it's really popular to do the intermittent fasting from breakfast or fasting from dinner. You can do something like that. So number 3 is what I really enjoy. I feel like I really hear from God's voice when I fast from television. Number 4 is fasting from social media. That's another one I really enjoy. I feel so much freedom when I let go of social media. It really clears my mind. And actually what ends up happening is I say I'm going to fast it for a week or 2, and it ends up being 3 or 4 months. I just never desire to go back on. One time I fasted from Facebook and I stayed off for 7 years because it felt so good not to be involved in the drama. So I would highly recommend fasting from social media. Trust me, you're not going to miss out on anything. You'll find out through your friends, through text, what's going on, and it will actually free up your time to do things that are more productive for yourself and productive for God. So number 5 is a weird one. Fasting from exercise. So I have always been an exerciser. I have always incorporated some kind of activity into my daily life. This is just who I am. It's just how I'm built. I really enjoy it. It helps me relieve stress. But there was a time in my life when exercise had taken first position. I was trying to be a certain weight and I wasn't getting it, and I was working harder and harder than working out twice a day, just because once I have a goal in my mind, I will work really hard until that goal is accomplished, and it wasn't getting accomplished. So I was pulling out all the stops, and the Lord said, hey, what's going on with all the exercise? Well, God, I have all these goals, this is happening. I want to do this. He said, how about you fast that? Oh, God, what are you talking about? I have these goals. If I don't exercise, then I'm really going to get behind. And the Lord said, really? Are you? Or are you going to trust me to help you in the area that you can't help yourself? And so I thought about it, and of course, I struggled with it, but I ended up obeying and giving up exercise for a season. And instead of working out in the gym during that time, I would spend time with God. And the crazy part was, I actually lost the weight that I was looking to lose. And I didn't do any extra work. The Lord did it for me. So isn't that crazy? Sometimes we could just be pressing in and pushing and trying to make things happen. And God's like, whoa, slow down. I asked you to depend on me. I asked you to trust me. I asked you actually to listen and obey me. And when we do those things, there is a reward at the end of it. So I want to encourage you, if you have an exercise thing and maybe the Lord is leading you to give that up for a season, just trust him that he's going to take care of you. He's not going to let you get out of control. Number 6, this is one my husband loves. Fasting from excessive talking. I am a person who likes to connect, and I like to have conversations and deep conversations. My husband, not so much. He is more of a quiet kind of guy. He doesn't really like to go deep on things. And so I know sometimes I get excited when I see him and I've got all these ideas and want to share this and oh my gosh, this is happening. And the Lord kind of showed me one time, could you just fast from words? And I was like, oh, okay, fast from words. What does that mean? And he said, the amount of words you use is a little excessive. Could you fast from that? And so I went through a season where I would consciously not speak. And I would tell my husband, I'm going through a silent season. I'm just not going to speak as much as you're used to. And it's not that I'm angry at you. The Lord is just putting it on my heart to learn how to be a better listener, to learn how to be a better support, to learn how to give you what you need. And you probably don't need to hear me talking all the time. And my husband was really happy about that. So maybe that's something I need to do again pretty soon. Number 7, this is interesting. Fast from isolation. I am an introvert. I love my home. I love peace. I love spending time with God. I love that time with my husband, quality time. I like one-on-one with people, but being in a group with a lot of people for a long period of time, it's kind of stressful for me. So I can tend to stay back in my home and not go out and do a lot of social things if I was left to my own devices. But if the Lord wants to break me of that, because we were actually created for community, to be his hands and feet, to help people, to be available, to listen to people. We can't do those things in isolation. So the Lord showed me, hey, I actually want you to make a commitment to me that you're not going to stay at home as often as you want to. When I tell you to go, I want you to go. Show up here. Be available for this. Be available for that. So if you have a tendency to be an introvert, the Lord might be pushing you to do a creative fast, to fast from staying at home. You need to get out and do something. So number 8 is something I really don't like, and that is fasting from shopping. If you're watching this video, you probably come from a household that has enough clothes in your closet, enough makeup or whatever it is that we women like to shop for. We don't necessarily need everything that we buy, right? And at the end of the day, if finances are a struggle for you, I think that it's wise to bring that to the Lord and say, could you break me of the habit of needing to spend money? Many people, when they're going through hard times, will use shopping as a way to soothe themselves. I've gone through seasons where I really haven't had very much. And the Lord kind of encouraged me that I know you love beautiful things, Jules. I know you can appreciate beautiful things. But can you just look in the window and appreciate it, that beautiful thing, without having to have it? For an example, when I see a beautiful woman go by, I love to admire a beautiful woman. Look at her hair. Oh my gosh, I love her, the way she put together the outfit, whatever it is. To appreciate that and just acknowledge the beauty of that and let it go by, let it be your inspiration. And some people will take it to the level of, instead of enjoying that woman's beauty, complimenting that woman, making it into a weird competition, or making, I feel like I'm not enough, or it's almost a greedy way of thinking that we can't have it all. We cannot have it all physically. And to spend money like we can have it all isn't realistic, and it's not healthy. So if you have a trouble with shopping, or you have financial issues, then maybe the Lord is pushing you to do some fasting in that area. Number 9, fasting from gossip. This is another thing that's really sneaky. It can get into any friend environment. What's really frustrating for me is to see, even in the church, gossip can be prevalent. I've had issues with friends that enjoy gossiping, and I've had to scale back my exposure to those people in a very intentional way. I don't want to hurt their feelings, and I also don't want to tell another adult how to talk. So it's not my place to tell another adult that, and hopefully by me scaling back, maybe they can do the math and figure out, well, if I want to hang out with Julia, then I need to elevate my conversations. But at any rate, it's really important. If gossiping is a problem for you, this is a demonic stronghold. Now, this is something that is nefarious. This is something that is not from God at all. It is straight up from the pits of hell. Gossip is something that destroys people's reputation, and it hurts trust. It actually builds walls. It doesn't build bridges. Gossip is so toxic. And so God definitely does not want us to be any part of that. And so if you feel like you struggle in this area, then this is something that I think is good for anybody, to fast from gossip, to really watch the words that you say, making sure whatever you say that it's edifying to other people. This is what the Bible talks about. This is what Christians should be doing. And the reason why I believe believers have such a bad reputation is because everybody knows in the Bible it talks bad about gossip and all these things. And yet, what is the church known for? The church is known for gossip. We need to honor people. We need to honor our friendships. We need to honor the words that even come out of our mouths, that we are excellent people and we're bringing people up. We're elevating people. We are not people that tear people down. So I would highly recommend, if you do any of the fasts, this is the one I think that is one of the most important fasts to do. Really quick, I'm just going to go through some fasting tips that have helped me when I've gone through a fast. Number one, prayer should be the foundation of your fast. This is your lifeline to the Lord. When you're really hitting a rough patch during that fast, this is where you tap into the power of God. So make fasting central around prayer. Number two is just humble yourself before the Lord, knowing that you are depending on Him to be your strength during this season. Number three, meditate on the Word of God before, during, and after your fast. So for example, if you are having an issue with gossip, look up some Bible verses that talk about gossip and read those Bible verses before your fast, during your fast, and even after your fast, that you would replace the words that the enemy wants you to put over everybody with what actually God has to say about gossiping. It will really help you to watch your tongue. Number four, try your very best to stay quiet about your fast. When people announce that they're going on a fast and make it a big thing, I think it actually puts more pressure on that person to perform or to do or whatever. This is between you and God. This is not about looking good in front of everyone or showing anyone how spiritual you are. This is a little deal between you and the Lord. And you and the Lord can work these things out privately together. When you start inviting other people into your mess, it actually opens up an opportunity where the enemy can use them to sabotage you. So this is something that I think is a very private thing. Unless you're fasting from food and someone's asking you out to dinner, then of course you probably need to explain yourself. Number five, prepare your body for the fast that you are going on. Of course, if you're fasting from gossip, you don't need to prepare your body for that. But if you are going to be fasting certain meals, this might be something that you have to work out ahead of time. You might have to, if you're going to do the intermittent fasting thing, you might want to just do 12 hours when you first start out, and then go 14 hours, and then go 16 hours. So your body is getting used to the idea of less and less food. Whatever you need to do to prepare your body for whatever fast that's on, do your due diligence. I can't tell you all the details of how to do your particular fast, but Google the benefits and the downfalls of it, and you have to make the decision if this is a fast for you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Please comment below and tell me what you fasted and how that went. I'd love to hear about it.